Picture this, a stadium that has hosted playoff games, division titles, some of the loudest football crowds in the country. And on this particular Saturday night, the man who owns that building on Sundays walks in wearing the wrong colors on purpose. Patrick Mahomes, three-time Super Bowl champion, the face of Arrowhead Stadium for years now, showed up to his own house dressed head to toe in Argentina blue and white. And within minutes, the moment was everywhere online. Because this wasn't Mahomes attending some random off-season event. This was the World Cup, the actual World Cup, landing in Kansas City, and Argentina walking out for a quarterfinal against Switzerland with the defending champions' entire tournament hanging in the balance. Mahomes wasn't alone either. His wife Brittany joined him, cameras caught them arriving, and the clips spread fast, fans joking they'd suddenly become Mahomes supporters all over again, just because of who he chose to root for that night. It made sense in a strange way once you think about it. Arrowhead had already become something close to a second home for Argentina this summer. The team trained nearby for weeks leading into the tournament, built a fan base in a city that barely knew their starting lineup a month earlier, and had already delivered one unforgettable night inside that same stadium when Messi scored a hat trick against Algeria earlier in the competition. So when Argentina returned for the quarterfinal, a huge share of the crowd wasn't neutral at all. It was pro-Argentina, chanting and singing like they'd been following La Albiceleste their whole lives, and Mahomes blending into that sea of sky blue jerseys felt less like a novelty and more like he simply understood the room he was walking into. What followed was exactly the kind of match that earns a spot in tournament history. Argentina struck first through Alexis Mac Allister, an early goal that had the crowd on its feet immediately. Switzerland answered back through Dan Doy, refusing to fold against the reigning champions, and for a stretch it genuinely looked like the disciplined Swiss defense, which had barely conceded all tournament, might pull off the upset everyone feared. Then came the moment that flipped the entire match. A red card shown to Switzerland's Briel Embolo. A call so brutal, the striker was left in tears, right there on the field. Even with a man advantage, Argentina still couldn't find the winner in regulation, and the game rolled into extra time with the tension climbing with every passing minute. That's when Messi, quiet for most of the night by his own extraordinary standards, made sure his fingerprints were still on the outcome. Not with a goal this time, but with a pass that only he seems capable of threading, setting up exactly what Argentina needed. Julian Alvarez delivered it. A long-range strike in the 112th minute that ripped through the Swiss defense and sent Arrowhead into a frenzy few American football crowds have ever matched. Lautaro Martinez added a third not long after, sealing a 3-1 win in extra time and sending Argentina back to the semifinals for the second straight tournament. For a team that has now survived tiny Cape Verde in extra time, clawed back from 2 goals down against Egypt, and ground out a win over a stubborn Swiss side that gave up almost nothing all tournament, there's a growing sense that this Argentina squad simply refuses to go home. Alvarez put it plainly after the final whistle, saying the team was exactly where it wanted to be, among the last 4, and that nobody ever expected the road to be easy. Messi finished the night with 8 goals in the tournament, tied for the most of any player on the planet, a number that puts him level with the very best strikers in the world at a stage of his career when most assumed his last great World Cup run had already peaked. And now that run continues, with Argentina set to face England in the semifinal. Another heavyweight matchup. Another chance for Messi to add to a legacy that honestly needs no further proof. Rewind a few weeks and this whole scene starts to make even more sense. When Argentina pulled off that stunning comeback against Egypt, clawing back from 2 goals down late in the match, Mahomes had already reacted publicly, posting the GOAT emoji, shorthand across social media for greatest of all time, a clear nod to what Messi was doing on the world's biggest stage. So this appearance at Arrowhead wasn't some random celebrity sighting for the cameras. It was consistent, it was genuine, a real acknowledgement from one all-time great to another, the kind of respect that doesn't care which sport you actually play. Mahomes wasn't even the only famous face in the building either. Jason Sudeikis, known worldwide for playing a fictional soccer coach with an unshakable heart, was there too, alongside Brendan Hunt, his real-life friend and longtime collaborator. Even Roberto Baggio, one of Italian football's most iconic names, a player who understands better than almost anyone what it feels like to carry a nation's hopes on a World Cup stage, found his way into the stadium that night. For a few hours, Arrowhead wasn't hosting a soccer match so much as hosting a cross-section of global sports royalty. all pulled toward the exact same thing, the chance to watch Messi try to do it again. Step back, and there's something almost poetic about the whole picture. A stadium built for American football, filled beyond capacity for the world's game, with the city's own football hero sitting in the crowd not as a competitor but as a fan. Mahomes has spent his career redefining what's possible at his position, breaking records, throwing passes most quarterbacks wouldn't even attempt, and yet there he was, just another face among thousands, hoping to witness brilliance from someone else for a change. That's the kind of moment that sticks with people, not because of trophies or box scores, but because of what it represents: mutual respect between the greatest at what they do, regardless of sport, league, or passport. Whether or not anyone actually believes in superstitions, it's hard to ignore the pattern forming here. Mahomes shows up, Argentina finds a way to win. It happened after Egypt, and it happened again against Switzerland. Fans have already run with it online, half joking that the Chiefs' quarterback might be the secret ingredient nobody saw coming behind Argentina's World Cup defense. Realistically, of course, this has everything to do with Messi, Alvarez, Martinez, McAllister, and a squad built precisely for moments like these, and nothing at all to do with who happened to be watching from the stands. But sports have always been about more than results alone. They're about images that stick, moments people replay, and this one qualifies without much argument. Argentina now turns its full attention to England and the semi-final ahead. Another test. Another chance for Messi to add a fresh chapter to what is already being called his final World Cup run. Whether Mahomes shows up again along the way remains to be seen, but if Saturday night proved anything, it's that when Messi steps onto the field, even the biggest stars from completely different sports want a seat close enough to watch history try to repeat itself. Think about how rare a scene like this actually is. Athletes sitting at the very top of their profession are usually far too consumed with their own next milestone to stop and admire someone else's. Mahomes could have spent that Saturday doing anything: resting ahead of another grueling NFL season, training quietly, spending time with his family away from every camera in sight. Instead, he chose to sit in his own stadium as nothing more than a spectator, trading his usual role for a jersey carrying someone else's name, just to watch a piece of sports history unfold in person. That says plenty about how massive this World Cup run has become, and how far Messi's reach now extends, even into locker rooms and living rooms that have nothing to do with soccer on any ordinary day. It also says something about Kansas City itself, a city long defined almost entirely by its football team, suddenly finding itself at the center of the biggest tournament on the planet. Arrowhead hosting World Cup matches was already historic on its own, but hosting a Messi hat trick and then a chaotic extra-time classic against Switzerland within weeks of each other turned the stadium into something far bigger than just a football venue for the summer. Locals who never followed soccer closely found themselves learning names, checking standings, building their weekends around kickoff instead of tailgates. And Mahomes, whether he meant to or not, became part of that story too. A bridge between two fan bases that rarely overlap, showing up not as the quarterback everyone expected, but simply as someone who wanted to watch greatness unfold live. There's a reason moments like this spread so quickly. It was never really about the jersey or the seat or even the final score. It was about recognition, one legend understanding exactly what he was witnessing. Mahomes has broken records people once thought untouchable, and he still made time to sit in the stands and admire someone else doing the very same thing in a completely different sport. That kind of respect doesn't need translation or commentary, it just needs a camera catching the right instant, and Saturday night delivered exactly that. As the tournament rolls on toward its final stages, the story of that quarterfinal night in Kansas City won't just be remembered for the scoreline or even for Alvarez's stunning strike deep into extra time. It will be remembered for the atmosphere that made it all possible, the nervous energy, the chanting that never let up, the wild swings and momentum, and a stadium packed with people, including one very famous quarterback, all hoping for something worth remembering. They got it. Whether Argentina goes all the way from here or falls just short against England, nights like this one explain exactly why the World Cup captures the world's attention every 4 years, and why even the biggest names from completely different sports can't help wanting a seat inside the building when history decides to show up.